morning, everyone. So we know in the couple of years, energy security has definitely become one of the key top policy agenda among many markets, given the recent years' geopolitical risks as well as the volatility in the energy markets. In the meantime, we do know that energy transition, previously seen as a method to decarbonize energy systems and economy, now is also increasingly being seen as a critical way to reduce energy dependence on importing fossil fuel energy as well. So in today's session, actually, we do have a very distinguished panelists here to walk us through the future's pathway for Mongolia's energy transition, but as well as in the meantime, how some of the key technologies are going to sustain and help accelerate the growth of the industrial sector as well. So without further ado, let's just start with a round of quick self-introductions. And shall we start with Malek?
So, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Malek from Huawei Digital Power Company. I'm in charge of the microgrid business all over the world. Okay, so we're doing some successful in Africa and also the Latin American, worldwide famous microgrid project supporting the mining and the airland and also the city to utilize the microgrid and the grid forming technology. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Orchlon. I'm the CEO of Net Zero Tech and Net Zero Energy, which is a joint venture company between a climate technology company called Ureca that's doing distributed renewables and MCS, which is one of the largest multi-diversified conglomerates in Mongolia. And what Net Zero Energy and what Net Zero Tech do is I think we find innovative solutions to help industrial and mining clients especially decarbonize their operations by helping them provide with clean energy solutions focused in the South Gobi region of Mongolia at the moment. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you for having me together with distinguished guests on this panel discussion. My name is James Locke. I'm heading a global project finance business in AIIB. AIIB is a multilateral development bank. I think that probably I won't go too much because MC earlier just introduced quite well. I just want to highlight that Mongolia is a shareholder, important member of the bank. We would like to support its development in this infrastructure space. Also to share that exactly a year ago, our Chief Investment Officer, Konstantin, led a senior delegation to Mongolia, meeting quite a few ministries there, including Prime Minister, just to express our keen interest and willingness to support the country.
Hello, good morning, everyone. It's an honor to be here. I'm Eric. You can call me Yuanwei. I'm from Envision Energy. I'm responsible for the global net zero business. Currently, what we are doing is quite similar with other the green energy technology companies in China. We are focusing on to bring our high-tech technology across the world. And Mongolia is one of the strategic countries we want to focus. And we are also we can see the high potential in Mongolia, especially not only in the renewable energy, but we all know there are a lot of mining, minerals, holding everyone here. So I think we have a lot of opportunities here to co-develop in Mongolia. And we hope that we can bring our green technology to co-develop the minerals, the mining, the scenarios in Mongolia. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for the kind introductions. And there are actually already quite a few keywords coming up. And in the rest 40 minutes also, we're going to actually dive into some of the key topics already being mentioned here. So I want to start with you, Orchlon, as the first of the question, because we know that Mongolia, as a country that has already very abundant and favorable renewable resources potential in the country, but also at the same time, there are also some of the key constraints, let's say, in the market right now, potentially hindering from really scaling up the technology deployment. So from your perspective, what are some of the most practical near-term opportunities that you see right now in the market when it comes to clean technologies, but also at the same time, how should the developers or investors manage some of the key challenges?
Well, thank you for that question. So I think if we were to take a step back and really look at Mongolia, at the moment, I think it's one of the most carbon-intensive economies in Asia. If I recall correctly, it's the second highest carbon-intensive economy per GDP per capita in Asia, just because of our fossil fuel usage and how much of coal there is in the electricity mix. So that's one fact. I think the other fact is the opposite of that. We have over 15,000 terawatt hours of potential renewable energy generation in the country. So when you look at wind and solar resources, especially across the Gobi, we have, as I said, 15,000 terawatt hours of annual potential generation, which is huge from an energy endowment perspective. The other interesting point, I think, is we are the least densely populated country in the world. And then I think the last one is, as Member of Parliament, Mr. Zoltar said, we are right next door to the largest market in the world, right? So when I combine these factors, I think there's a natural sequencing that needs to happen. One is there's a lot of, in terms of we have the most carbon-intensive, one of the most carbon-intensive economies in the world. For me, as a entrepreneur, what that tells me is there's a lot of opportunities to decarbonize the mainstream economy, and there's a lot of low-hanging fruits that we can use technology and I think innovative financing solutions to address those challenges in a very short amount of time, right? In terms of what you need to use to make the most out of the renewable energy endowments is actually land, right? So we need land for wind turbines, for solar panels, etc. Again, that's, I think, where being the most least densely populated country in the world is also very value accretive, right? Because you don't have other industries, agricultural, sort of, industrial industries competing for the same land that you need to build wind farms and solar farms. And the wind speeds that we're seeing in our projects across the South Gobi, the average is nearing 10 meters per second. And which is quite amazing, right? Because you have wind speeds that are almost like offshore wind, but then you're able to build that with onshore costs, right? So I think for us, again, we just need to have a paradigm shift to your question around understanding, maybe some of these disadvantages that we previously thought were hindering our ability to scale renewables and energy. Maybe, when you look at them with a fresh perspective, I think a lot of the things that we previously thought were sort of untenable become sort of opportunities, right? So I think it's a mind shift that we need to collectively sort of have a think around. Yeah.
Thank you for shedding some light on the upcoming opportunities in the market. But to actually make those opportunities materialize, that's where the capital, the financing comes from. So the next question, actually, I want to come to you, James. So from a finance institution's point of view, what do you see some of the key barriers in Mongolia when it comes to scaling renewable investment? And at the same time, as a multilateral development bank, where do you see the role being, fit into the whole process of accelerating the renewable energy development in the country?
Thank you for the question. First, we commend the government's for some positive steps to encourage renewable energy investment, and also for its ambitious target to achieve 30% renewable energy in its energy mix by 2030. In fact, the government has already introduced some positive reforms, including amendments to the existing renewable energy laws to ensure that future generation projects will be competitively tendered, focusing on technical and financial merits. This transparent and competitive approach is very much welcomed in the market, and for sure will support the development. I would like to touch on scaling, probably on two areas, one on contracts, the other one on the transmission line infrastructure. Just on the contracts, investors and lenders will closely look at the contractual and regulatory framework that will govern the project life from development to construction to operation. Ensuring that the underlying contractual framework is bankable, sustainable, and based on international convention will boost lenders and also investors' confidence in the sector. And also investors need comfort that payment obligations, such as energy payments under power purchase agreement, will be paid on time and in full. The other areas is the infrastructure. We think Mongolia would need to ensure its grid infrastructure and transmission line are modernized and have ability and flexibility to integrate utility-scale renewable projects because this may quickly become a bottleneck. Grid modernization and construction of high-capacity transmission lines will limit curtailments and ensure intermittent renewable energy supported with battery storage that can be fully integrated to a grid system. Just on our roles to support the country's ambitious energy targets, as an important shareholder of the bank, MDBs like us may leverage our experience in supporting the government and private sector in structuring contractual arrangements for a project to ensure it's bankable, and will support private sector investment and also long-term debt financing. The AIIB will ensure that the project document incorporates international best practice, especially on risk allocations among various stakeholders. And secondly, we may play a role in bridging financing gaps where commercial lenders may have limited appetite and experience in long-term project financing. AIIB can support mobilizing private capital through co-financing or under our BloombergNEF structure. This is further supported by AIIB's halo effect, given Mongolia is a shareholder of the bank. We have direct access to the government if investors, lenders face issues in their project. Finally, MDBs like us can bring in a wealth of expertise and experience in ensuring that the projects are developed in accordance with the international best practices, in particular ENS standards. Let me take a pause here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, James. Actually, you do, again, touch on some of the key points we're going to actually discuss in the later discussions. So it's really a nice segue. So now, I think let's switch gears a little bit. We've just said a really nice thing when it comes to the opportunities and the challenges in Mongolia. And just as mentioned in the morning's plenary sessions, the collaboration or partnership between Mongolia and China has been there for a long time. It's going to continue to grow. So from that perspective, I think now let's just talk about how from the Chinese markets or Chinese companies' angle can actually help facilitate some of the changes or opportunities to happen in the market. So with that, I think I would like to turn to Eric. So we know that in the past decade, actually, China has been really successful in terms of scaling up the deployment for wind, solar, battery storage, etc. And the Envision actually has also been one of the key players in the market as well, providing technology, solutions, equipment, etc. So from your point of view, when you're looking at the overall experiences being accumulated in China in the past decade, what are some of the key elements of experiences that you think can be transferable to Mongolia, whether that's technologies, the system integration, project delivery, manufacturing, etc.?
Hello. Yeah, thanks for the question. It's really a good question. So I think right now we all see the good advance in China. We have make a remarkable achievement, especially in the renewable energy. But we also noticed that the production, the amount is overproduced. We have to be honest that it's almost overproduced. Then how to export our good quality product and also especially the technology to abroad and also to make the other countries to accelerate their net zero process. So this is a key challenge and the key question that every green technology company wants to solve. Okay, so we noticed that there's one significant difference between China and overseas or the other countries. Because that in China we have very powerful national grid. This is our the supporting point there. So in China, we don't usually we don't worry about the grid support there. So we may focus on the own grid technology solutions. But for overseas, outside China, you have to see that a lot of countries may not have so strong support from local grid. The weak grid or even no grid, especially for some countries, for some industry that like the mining, minerals, especially in Mongolia, the mining plants usually located in remote areas, with limited access to electricity, to local grid. So how to make the mining plant to be access to electricity is one of the key challenges they want to solve when a company wants to set up their plants. And also it's one of the key questions that the bank want to ask. Yeah, it's related with the bankability. So this is, I see that we, as a Chinese company, we can bring our technology, especially in microgrid, in the off-grid, in grid forming technology to help the other country, other region to accelerate their net zero path. So in one shot that we can bring in as a green technology company, we should bring in the technology in off-grid, in microgrid or on-grid forming, this kind of technology and high-end products to overseas, to help there to strengthen the local grid forming. Yeah, this is what I foresee the opportunities coming, especially in Mongolia. And that's the first one. And the second one is that we built a microgrid, but see, we should, it's not just limit, it's just simple as you set up one grid and leave it alone. We should be able to link the source, the grid, and the consumption together to make the whole system balance, to make the microgrid balance. So when we design the microgrid, it's never be that you just based on the natural resource, what kind of wind farm we can develop, then we develop how much. It's not so straightforward. We should base on the production, based on the need of the plants, what they need. Then we, in return, we calculate how much and the energy, how much wind farm they want to develop. So firstly, we bring the microgrid, then second, we make the macro efficient. Yeah, so this is the target we want to do. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Eric. So grid is definitely one of the key interesting topic nowadays in China, outside of China, in mature markets as well as in emerging markets as well. When we're looking at how fast the technologies are evolving and how fast some of the demand areas were growing, definitely we're seeing the gaps when the grid investment falls behind. And then I want to turn to you, Malek, because Huawei has also been one of the key players in the sector as well. So from your point of view, where do you see the greatest opportunities for technology providers like Huawei to really support Mongolia's grid modernization?
So as we know, we analyze about the Mongolia, the whole country's the industry and also the country development. So the GDP is growing very fast, and based on the contribution about the mining and all different industry like manufacturing and new cities built up. So the national grid and also the power, the infrastructure is one of the fundamental can supporting the country developing well, okay, supporting the whole industry. So based on Huawei global experience, no matter in China and also different countries, the first things need to be enhancement is the national grid company should build up a dedicated department and also build up a new intelligent national grid simulation center. This center will be applied the country level of the national industry strategy in order to understanding how the national grid upgradation planning to match in the national industry plan. So this is first things need to be do. Second things currently, so how the China, the national grid company can have very strong grid is because they also have the control center. This control center called OSS and BSS control center. So currently the national grid of the Mongolia need to be enhanced, the operation and also the OSS and BSS control center in order to apply the strategy of the national grid operations. So you know where the place need to be enhancement, where the place need to be control. So this is second things you need to do. The last things is also the most important things. As you know, for last 3 years in Europe, some countries like Spain, France, and also Germany, so they have huge investment, no matter by the country level and also the commercial level. So investment, a lot of the renewable energy project, like wind and also the solar system. So when the percentage of the renewable energy, the growth up, reach to more than 30% of the whole country power supply, so they may face a lot of the issue for the national grid. So also in China, since last year, they also launched a new policy in order to open the national grid and also the grid forming storage project open for the market. So this is the experience no matter in Europe and also China. So how to stability when the growing of the renewable energy, the percentage goes up. So currently now in Mongolia, at the beginning of the renewable energy, the market open for everybody. So at the beginning, you should set up the policy. If there's new project coming, no matter it's wind or solar, so must be combined with grid forming technology, which means at the beginning, when you build up the new energy, solution for that. So it will be supporting the grid at the stability based on the grid forming technology. So this is 3 suggestions for the Mongolia national grid. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we know that in today, Mongolia's power system is still very much reliant on coal power. But if we're looking at the experiences in many of the other markets, we do see that when the renewables start to actually scale up, usually they will exceed our expectation when it comes to the speed and the scale. So in that sense, just like what Malek shared with us, having proper technologies, control centers, and grid planning, as well as technologies such as grid forming is really essential and to start early. So now I want to come back to you, Orchlon. So we know that actually today, in the context of energy transition, it's not only just about wind and solar. There are also a whole suite of technologies people are discussing, whether that's hydrogen, CCS, nuclear, etc. There are just a really wide range of technology options. And I think what lies in front of Mongolia is really a massive pool of opportunities. But if you have to tap your crystal ball, I'm quite keen to hear your view. In Mongolia's case, which technologies you think are most likely to scale in the next 10 years or so, and why?
I think for us, maybe technology is not the issue. So as we said, I think we've established that the fundamentals are there in terms of we have so much renewable energy endowment. We actually have an energy deficit in the country as well. And then I think in the long run, we have a huge, potentially the world's largest energy consumer next door as well. In terms of, as you said, based on our experience, it's not the technology that's been the bottleneck. I think it's the business models and the financing solutions that have been the bottleneck, right? Because the technology, as you said, whether it's hydrogen, wind, solar, nuclear even, we're able to adapt that, and the infrastructure and the necessary natural endowments are there to be able to accommodate those technologies. So that's why I think from Net Zero's perspective, from our company's perspective, we've taken a bit of an interesting approach to how we try and scale renewables. So instead of feeding into the grid, we go and talk directly to the large industrial mining consumers. We're just about to enter into the country's first ever corporate power purchase agreement, which we think it's an unregulated power purchase agreement, which we think will establish a robust baseline for others to try and replicate, so that again we can scale this renewable energy, the renewable energy industry through, I think, different innovative methods. The other thing that we're doing is helping scale distributed renewables. So we're working to potentially try and transition up to 100,000 households to solar clean energy by 2030, which, if we're successful, would establish around 500 megawatts of smart distributed solar grids across the country. So again, I think our aim is to try and bring in innovation, not on the technology side of things, but on the business model and financing solutions. And that's why I think it's quite important for us to also work with banks to try and streamline and optimize the financing aspect of things. Because one example is we already work with Envision on our off-grid, not off-grid, but on a mining project to supply electricity to a large miner in the country. And again, it's putting that innovative new corporate PPA in place, but then also I think bringing in the technology that Envision has in terms of grid integration, black start technology, that really enables us to showcase to our client that renewables can be a very viable alternative to fossil fuels, which they had been using to date. Yeah.
Thank you very much. And I do want to continue with the discussion on mining sector, and I want to turn to Malek again. So Mongolia definitely has a really strong mining sector as well. At the same time, we know the country is also potentially exploring opportunities when it comes to data center deployment as well. So from your point of view, from a technology perspective, how do technologies such as grid forming storage, smart grid, etc., can really help these applications when it comes to securing power supply? And if you have any case studies, please feel free to share as well.
So this is a very good questions for the mining and also the AI data center. It's the industry need to be consume huge of the power. So actually, I want to share some history about Huawei in this field. Since almost more than 10 years before, so we get a lot of issue globally, customer from the African, from some village, and also from the airline. So they don't have the power grid, and also they need to have new energy in order to supporting the local industry and also the living people. So in that time, on this world, they don't have any, how to say, the renewable or microgrid solutions in that time. So the people, they are all using the diesel generator to make sure the industry continuity and also the people living there. So since 10 years before, we are trying to have innovate and research how find a new technology to resolve the issue, supporting the renewable energy to utilize for the place who are not covering by the grid. 5 years before 2021, so there's one mega project coming from the Saudi Arabia. So based on the version national strategy, version 2030, so in Red Sea, there is to create a new city in order to cover in the more than 1 million people. It's a pure construction as a new city, as the highest luxury tourist city from Saudi, nearby the Red Sea. So in that time, they decided to build up a grid. It's off-grid solutions, but covering the whole city by purely renewable energies. So when the project coming out, the worldwide, the top of the technology company joined. So Huawei, based on our more than 5 years research, and also we have the simulation center located in Shanghai. So we're doing some research and data analysis. Finally, we generation the solution design to get that project. So also we based on that project to upgradation and based on the AI technology to innovate it, the grid forming technology and apply the huge site as a successful case in Saudi, the Red Sea, the microgrid. Until today, that is the world, the biggest city level of the microgrid project all over the world until today. So after that, when the global industry, they find Huawei have this capability to build up the huge microgrid solution. So in China and also the Canada and also the France, the mining companies starting to looking for Huawei how utilize the microgrid solution supporting the mining industry. So in that time, since 4 years before, we did some global research. So we find, firstly, the mining industry consume the power, so equal to more than 10% of the global power consumption. So which means it's a huge market for the power. So that's why we put our effort focus on how utilize the microgrid supporting the mining. From the gold mine, copper mine, and also the salt lake, the Lee mine. So in different mining, we find how customize the solution in order to match in the process of the mining. So for last 3 years, we already deployed more than 15 of the project. It's global top of the mining company all over the world, including the Mongolia. So in Mongolia, 3 years before, we supporting the top company, M company, to build up their first microgrid project in Mongolia, especially in the very harsh environment. In the winter time, during the delivery time, so the temperature is minus 47. So our partner and with our deployment engineer working on the site. So until today, it's continue up running. So secondly, regarding the AI data center, it's very hot business and growing very fast, no matter in US, China, and also in Europe. So especially, they also consume a lot of the energy, so like China. So we're starting to build up the new AI data center in the west and north area. Those places have a lot of the power resource from the solar and also from the wind. So in the far area, also, we are joined with our partner together in order to utilize the grid forming with microgrid supporting the AI data center build-up. So this business is also the last 2 years as a new business. But no matter in mining and also the AI data center and also the new village or new city build-up, so both can utilize the microgrid supporting the renewable energy supply. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and great to hear the journey of Huawei exploring the applications of these technologies in the past couple of years. And now I want to come back to you, Eric, in the context of net zero. So Envision actually has done a lot of actual projects when it comes to net zero industrial parks in China and outside of China. So based on Envision's experiences regarding net zero industrial parks, when you're looking at the industrial growth in Mongolia, what are some of the models that you think that are most relevant for Mongolia?
Okay, so I think firstly I introduce the business model in China for our Nigerian industrial park, and then we can talk about how to replicate in the Mongolia. Okay, we have built up 3 Nigerian industrial park in China as well so far. First one is in waters. It's related with the battery. So the basic idea, basic model. Second one is in Chifeng, which is a green hydrogen, green ammonia. This one, and the third one is green island, which is the metals. So the basic model that we not only build up just one wind farm or independent solar farms and battery storage, we build up one smart power system. And this smart power system is controlled by our smart grid system, which is self-developed by our brother companies, Universe. And this power system and the smart grid system is all designed based on the power consumption side. So from the beginning of designing, we based on the power consumption side, then we come back to design the power system, or the whole power system, and the controlling system. The controlling system, which is AI empowered. We have AI technology inside that. So we have 2 physical AI big data foundation model, which is the first one is Tianji, second one Tianshu. The Tianji can help us to forecasting all the weathers, and in term to the minutes level, and in turn that we come out the best result. We can forecast how much electricity we can generate. Then our Tianshu system will help us to do a real-time dispatch, real-time controlling between the power consumption and the power generation, which means that we can coordinate according to the power consumption side. How much they sometimes may consume more, sometimes may consume less. Then using the AI forecasting and controlling system, we can adjust our power generation side. So in this model, we can reach a real-time balance. The balance will mean that the most highest efficiency and the lowest LCOE, which is the cost of electricity. So it will give back the cheapest or most price competitive green electricity to the end users. So this is the basic model that we have built up for our Nigerian industrial park. Yeah. So Then we back to Mongolia. So we see that I think most potentials in Mongolia is mining scenarios, mineral scenarios. As I mentioned that the mining plants usually they require for 24 and 7 hours the uninterrupted power supply, which have zero tolerance for power outage. But the fact is that the mining plants is usually located in remote area, usually with little access to electricity, and also limited access to the power. So how to meet their demand with undisturbed power supply without the grid? This is a challenge. So we believe that our model, the net zero industrial park, can solve it. Yeah, actually, we are on, as mentioned, we have on one net zero industrial park is on progress right now. We are linking with, we build our power system based on the power consumption using our AI technology to do the predictions and the forecasting and the real-time controlling. So make a whole system to equal together. Yeah. So this, I think that's maybe the way that help to the mining company to achieve that they have access to electricity, and at the same time, they have a very price competitive green electricity supply, which can contribute to better economic return for their scenario.
Thank you very much, Derek. And James, so far we have actually here so many different types of opportunities and projects, whether that's on the grid utility scale or actually on the application, the demand side. But I want to ask, then when it comes to the financing, what are some of the key bankability considerations that banks would have when you're looking at those actual project opportunities, and what would actually need to happen to really attract more capitals to Mongolia as well?
Thank you for the question. First of all, as a bank, AIIB, we are very keen to support the government's target to achieve 30% renewable by 2030. Bankability is an important topic, and this needs to be addressed in order to attract financing to the projects. I'll probably quickly touch on the payment mechanism and in general. One key bankability consideration is the payment mechanism in power purchase agreement. Private sector and lenders prefer a take-or-pay mechanism to ensure that whatever electricity is generated or available needs to be paid for by the off-taker. This is particularly important in the context of Mongolia's transmission line infrastructure to ensure that curtailment and dispatch risks are not borne by the private sector, because the government is in the best position to manage the risk. And the question whether lenders can consider an arrangement based on take and pay, we can also consider, but that would mean that lenders will probably need to pass the risk to developer like Orchlon, because it's all about the allocation of risk. And secondly, private sector and the lenders, we need to ensure there's a comfort in the reliability of financials of state-owned utilities or the National Dispatch Center as a counterparty to project, i.e. the off-taker. The risk of payment delays or reduction in tariff would impact the ability of the project to service that and to generate intended returns for the sponsors. Hence, mitigation measures may need to be considered. For example, creating liquidity reserve account. What we understand as of today, many of the Mongolia's renewable projects have been driven by very strong local sponsors. As the sector continues to evolve and develop, international sponsors will also continue to enter the market to drive the development alongside with our local sponsors. Lenders, of course, need to ensure that the sponsors have both financial and technical capacity to deliver it and to implement their projects. So let me stop here. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. I'd very much like to continue, but our time's almost there. So I'd actually ask you to end our panel with one final rapid fire question to all of our panelists. So in one sentence, what is the most important action that Mongolia needs to take in the next 3 to 5 years to accelerate the energy transition in Mongolia? So in one sentence, what is the most important action for Mongolia to take? And shall we start with Malek again?
If you're talking about the one word, I believe it's open. So open for the commercial business invest, open for the foreign investor, the companies to build up the subsidiary office there in order to supporting no matter the national grid or supporting the mining and the data center and all this industry to bring more the technology and also the invest to build up the more better countries. I believe that open is most important. Okay.
Maybe I think I'll answer it a bit differently. What does Mongolia need from its foreign partners to scale renewables? I think the cool thing for me over the last 2 years is we all know the global economy, I think, is transitioning to a new phase. It's an economy that's led by AI, data centers, electric vehicles, net zero, and automation and autonomous vehicles. And I think up until maybe 2-3 years ago, energy, at least, was a very boring business. Everyone is hyped around AI, blockchain, crypto, etc., etc. But now I think as these things converge, everyone is realizing the foundation of this new economy is actually energy. Without energy, there's no AI, there's no electric vehicles, there's no autonomous vehicles, etc. Right? So I think it's finally energy is getting the spotlight that it's been due. With this in mind, I think Mongolia, as we said, has a huge endowment of renewable energy resources. We have very good human capital pool. We have a lot of land that we're able to use for renewable energy. We have the demand for renewable energy, whether that's the local mining companies or whether that's displacing and replacing our current energy imports from Russia and China, or ultimately potentially looking to export renewable energy back to China, and whether that's in form of electricity or molecules like green ammonia. I think the opportunities are there. I think what we need now is, as I said before, Mongolians know how to develop and build renewable energy solutions. We know how to bring in the technology, we have the workforce, and we know how to operate it. I think what we need now is we need to start lowering our cost of capital and funding. And that's where I think we need long-term, patient investors, because infrastructure energy projects are long-term projects that take a lot of time. So with this in mind, now I think we need reliable, long-term, patient, transparent investors that can come in and reduce the cost of capital so that we can really start scaling these solutions across the country.
So I will be very simple. Let's work together. I think we have all the necessary stakeholders in this big room. We have government, we have developer, we have technology, and we also have finance in this room. So let's work together.
I'm the last one, so I think the last one should be I want to say that I hope that Mongolia will be more determined. Because you know that for any renewable energy projects, not only in the power generation but also in the power consumption side, the process will not be just completed in 1 year. It will be one long journey. The PPA lasts for 10 to 20 years. And the project can last for, the negotiation can last for 3 to 5 years for price negotiation. So during the process, I know that a lot of things happen across the world, but I think all of us should hold the belief that the net zero or green technology should be the future. No matter the technology, how change that, but we should come to the same goal that we should come to net zero. So we should be determined.
Thank you very much. So as our panelists have said, now the spotlight is really on us, and we do see so many opportunities to make the projects happen and for collaboration. So let's just keep the conversation going in this room and beyond. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your attention. And let's give a round of applause to our excellent panelists this morning. Thank you.